Time Management and Digital Recorders, presented by Julia Soleau.
All right, so we are pleased to have for our fourth installment of the VABVI Tech Fair today, Julia Soleau, who's going to do a presentation on time management and digital recording. And so without further ado, and Julia is our CVRT out of the Rutland office here at VABVI. So we're glad to have you, Julia. I'll turn the time over to you.
Hi, everyone. So I wanted to first start by telling everyone how I got into the field. So I was inspired by my grandmother who had glaucoma. She went totally blind by the end of her life. And she was using many of the tools that I teach today. So she was really my inspiration. And I have a picture of her on my office wall here with her cane under her arm folded up. So she was a huge inspiration, even though she had her own struggles, but she was a huge inspiration. So I wanted to share a cheesy story with you all. Some of you may know it. So it's called Time is Gold. This is the story of a lazy man who was a friend of a king. One morning, the lazy man asked the king, "Why does everyone say that I can't do anything? And even when I go to a proper job, everyone refuses me. My enemies have told everyone that I never do any work on time." The king said, "Let's make a deal. Before sunset, you come to my treasury and collect as much gold and pearls as you can. They will all be yours." The man rushed towards his home to his wife. He explained everything. And then after hearing the husband, the wife said, "Go and get the gold and gems now. Time is gold for you." The lazy man sat down and said, "I can't go now. Give me lunch first." After having lunch, he decided to take a nap, but instead slept for 2 hours. Then late in the afternoon, he picked a few bags and went towards the king's treasury. On the way, he felt hot, so he sat down under a tree to rest and ended up sleeping for another 5 hours. When he finally reached the palace, it was already late in the evening. It was the time for sunset. Therefore, the palace gates had been shut before he could reach there. He lost the golden chance to get rich just because he didn't know the value of time. So the moral of this story is time is precious. Spend it wisely and stop wasting time on unimportant things. So I know it's a cheesy story, but I just thought it would add more entertainment to my presentation. So today I wanted to spend some time showing you about some of the equipment that we use here at VABVI for time management. So I'm going to turn my camera around here so I can show them to you. So the first one is for low vision. This is a low vision clock. So I believe there's also ones that are white numbers on black. So this one has black numbers and it's maybe about 1 foot in diameter. So this is a wall clock for people with low vision. So that's one way, is just visually keep track of time. Then I have a timer here. So this is a mechanical timer. The trick with this one, for those that know our mechanical timer, is that you have to move it all the way to 50. So I turn this past 50 and then backwards. The timer will work. So this is tactile. You can feel all the minutes. I'm feeling the tactile numbers too. And you could also hang it. I have one client that has it hung. So that is a really cool timer, I believe made by Maxi Aids. So that's something we could get for you if you wanted that. I'll turn it off there. The next one is a talking timer, which unfortunately I could not get to work. And so it's an example of a talking timer. So some people might use this instead of the A-Lady, their personal assistants, or the microwave. Those are some other options. But this is one that will, when you set it, it will talk to you. So it's all supposed to be accessible if you're completely blind or have no functional vision. I also have a talking clock here. So this is called the curved talking clock. And this one's really great because it has a high contrast button that's green here. And I have it not set, so, but I will press this button so you can all hear it. It is 13:10. So of course, this is on the 24-hour time, military time. But this one also has a low volume and a high volume setting, as well as a pretty easy way to set it. And all of my talking clocks, I believe, take AA batteries. So that's that one. I also have our atomic talking keychain, which I did set the time for. It does both the time and the date. So I can press the button on the front and we'll listen here.
The time is 1:11 p.m.
I'm not sure if you could hear that. If I press it again.
Monday, December 31, year 2012.
So the year is not right on that, but that does tell the date as well. And this is atomic, so you could place it in a window if you wanted to. So it automatically sets, or if it does not do that, you can also manually set it. I want to just make this timer go off here. Let's see. Okay. The next one I have is a pyramid clock. So again, a talking clock. I love this one because it's very simple to use. So if you press the top of it, it will tell you the time.
1:55 a.m.
And this one, I believe, also has an alarm. So you can also set the alarm in terms of time management. And this also takes AA batteries. Then I have another talking clock made by Ryzen. This one has the button on the top. And again, it has an alarm and AA batteries. You can change the volume on the bottom of it. So that has an alarm. And the speakers are on the top. So I think I like the way they made that one. The next one is what we call the talking cube clock. This one has a male voice, which can make a difference for people with hearing challenges. So there's two small buttons on the top here, and I have bump dots on both of them. And this is made by Ryzen as well. So I'll press the time button here. And I didn't put batteries in it, but normally it would be a male voice and it would tell you the time. And when I pressed the date button here, it would tell you what the date was. So that's that one. And then there's a new one, relatively new one that I found because actually I think a client's daughter introduced me to it. She found it for her mother. This is a big blue button. So the whole talking clock is basically a 4-inch diameter button. And so all you have to do is press it. And again, this does not have batteries in it. But this one can do the time and the date. So if I press it once, it would say the time. So it would say 1:14. And if I press it again before before a certain amount of time, it's going to tell you the date. So that's one reason why I really like this. And it's a male voice too. It can be a little muffly, but it's simple and it's pretty loud. So this is one of my favorite talking clocks. And then I wanted to show you some calendars. So some of you may be familiar with a Braille calendar. This is an example of one that we got for free. So if anyone wants one, I'm sure we could connect you to how to get a Braille calendar. So it says Michigan Braille Transcribing Fund. So Braille in large print. So on each page here on the spiral bound calendar is the whole month. And they Braille out January and the year 2022, Sunday through Saturday, and 1 through 31 for the January page. So that again could be a time management thing to manage time. And then we also have a large print calendar here. So many of you may know our large print calendars. So this is the one for this year that opens up. And it's really great to put on a wall. I don't recommend folding over the pages too far because it might fall apart. I have had that happen. But it's a great big wall calendar that you can use and write your appointments on it. So it's a great way to sort of keep track of appointments and time and all of that. And then I may need to switch to my computer, unfortunately, because my battery is dying. So I'm going to switch over to my computer if that's okay.
And Julia, how about while you're doing that, I'll talk about the talking watches and some of the challenges we found with them.
That would be great.
Okay, so you may have noticed while Julia was demonstrating several of those talking clocks, she would say, "Oh, well, this one doesn't have batteries in it yet," and the reason for that is because when we take all these clocks and things around, if we put batteries into all of them and ignored them, they'd explode. so we've had some problems with that in the past, and so we have kind of a few batteries that we kind of swap between them as we're showing them to people. Now, one of the problems we found with talking watches, because you notice that she showed you a lot of clocks and she showed you the talking keychain, but she didn't show you any talking watches. And the reason for that is because, especially now during the pandemic, we found that the talking watches have been sitting on shelves in warehouses, and the batteries are going bad inside of them. And so we've ordered talking watches for clients, and they get them and the battery dies like 3 months later. And we just got the talking watch in the mail, but the battery's only good for 2-3 months or less in some cases. And so we've actually decided as an agency, we're not going to carry the talking watches anymore. And one of the reasons is it's really hard to change the batteries in those watches unless you had a special set of tools. And a lot of the places you go to now won't change out the batteries for you. So that atomic talking keychain, that one has a really simple battery port on the back that you can just use your fingernail or a screwdriver or a key and just turn it and it pops out, and you can swap the batteries in and out yourself, no problem. And the batteries are not that expensive. And since it's an atomic keychain, it does have that added benefit of when you put it in the window overnight, it's going to reset itself. And so, there are talking watches out there that you could consider, but right now we really don't recommend any of them because all of them are coming almost dead already. And so that's the reason why we haven't been sharing a lot of talking watches with people lately.
So I wanted to also, I know Dan's presentation included some of the, as some people call her, A-Lady, the Amazon device. But I did want to also show how you can make an appointment with her. And I programmed mine so that she will respond to computer. So I should not be getting all of your devices to listen. So, computer, make an appointment.
Okay, Julia, what day and time?
Tomorrow at 2:30.
And what's the name of the event?
Dr. Smith.
Okay, I've added that. By the way, I can also help you find free time on your calendar and reschedule events. Try asking me when you're free.
So the A-Lady, or the Amazon device, can be very helpful in managing your time as well. It never hurts to have another way of also writing down your appointments too, just in case there's any technical challenges and the internet goes out, just for those things that can happen. So I also have with me a Pebble HD, and when I went to turn it on this morning, I found that it needs, the firmware is corrupted, so I have to do something about that. But I still wanted to sort of explain how the Pebble can be used as a writing tool. And I should jump backwards a little bit and explain what I mean by a Pebble. So a Pebble is a digital CCTV that's portable. So those that can see the screen, it could fit in a purse or a bag. And it has a handle on it, so it could sort of be like a handheld magnifier for those that use handheld magnifiers. And it has a camera on the back. And so it's able to display the image from the camera on the screen here. And it can be used for, just like a CCTV, it can be used for reading something you got in the mail or reading an item at the grocery store. The reason why this can be a writing tool specifically compared to some of the other portable digital magnifiers out there is that this one has a handle that can actually bend a little bit more than the other ones. So to do that, you would have it like this, and the handle would be flat on the table. So if my hand, if you can see my hand is the table, and the camera would be taking an image of your hand. So you could potentially use something like this for note taking. So I wanted to include that. Then there's also, many people may know that you can take notes with your phone. So I could ask Siri, for those who are familiar with Siri. Siri is the personal assistant on your phone. So you can ask her to set a timer, make a call, all of those things. But she'll also allow you to make a note. So you can say, or get Siri if you push the home button, if you have a home button, to make a note, and she'll save a note for you, I believe. So that can be another tool, as well as tablets. Many tablets will do that. And even a computer, if you use a screen reader and can accessibly do that, that's another way to do it. And then the other thing I wanted to show would be a digital recorder. This is called the MicroSpeak. It is yellow and black, and it's a digital recorder. So all the files that you can take with it are digital. And the benefit of that is that you can transfer the files to a computer. So for example, if you wanted to record some of your life stories for family, you could do that and then plug it into a computer and then easily send the files to family that way. The one thing to note about this specific one is that it does take some of your fingernail to turn it on and off, because the power on button is not raised too well. So that's the one thing I don't like as much about this one, but it's still a great tool. And I have one client that uses it, and she's very happy that she has it because she uses it for everything. Birthdays, any sort of note taking that she wants to do. And it's pretty simple, especially if you don't get into deleting recordings. You would just hit the record button, and it can be as simple as that. It's just using the record button. So this is a great device as well. And we're always looking for other recorders too. So we may have other ones to show in the future as well. The other thing I wanted to talk about that I don't have here with me is the talking book player. Just because it does have a function for time management. I know I'm sort of jumping back to the previous topic here, but it has the sleep button. So if someone wanted to read for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, you can set it to sleep after a certain amount of increments of time. So that's something I wanted to mention. And again, the talking book player is what you can get for free from the library. And well, I'll just show you, for those that are watching Zoom, this moon-like button is the button that you can use to make it sleep after a certain amount of increments. So if you, here's a working one. So if I press the moon button,
Pressing the sleep button once will play 15 minutes of the book and then stop the machine. Pressing the sleep button twice will play the book for 30 minutes, 3 times for 45 minutes, and 4 times for 60 minutes before stopping playback.
So that can be really handy if you have something going on in half an hour and you can only read for half an hour. That can be another way to sort of manage your time. So I think that's really a great feature that they included on this. And for those who don't know, that was the guide that's already in here on the talking book player. So without a cartridge in the player, pressing any button will tell you what it does. So that's what I was playing just then. And it's a great tool. So I think that's pretty much all of my presentation. I don't know if people have questions about anything. Yeah.
Does anybody have any
Julie.
questions for Julia? Go ahead.
I have a question. What is the name of the digital CCTV magnifier thing that you mentioned, and also the name of the microspeak digital recorder? What are those exact products if I wanted to buy them?
Yeah. So this is a Pebble HD. I don't know if this very specific model is on the market at the moment, because this model has been around for a while, but this is a Pebble HD. And I believe there are some other ones that are also made for the purpose of writing. So you would just want to keep that in mind if you were looking for a portable tool that might be helpful for writing, like writing checks out in public, things like that. So that's the Pebble HD from Enhanced Vision. And then the microspeak is either from, I'm not sure if it's MaxiAids or LS&S, but we could also help you order it as well. On the back here, it says talkingproducts.com. That's sort of embossed into the back. It's not very visual. And it says microspeak. And I believe it's the microspeak plus, because I believe they have a couple different versions of it. So that's that one. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Do you happen to know prices on any of these things, or just have to look it up and see?
So we do some markup, although we're not for profit, but it's for the purpose of mailing, so to cover like mailing costs and.
Yeah, that's okay.
So for the microspeak, I believe it ends up being 58, but if you order it directly yourself, you may end up still paying shipping costs. So for some of these things, there wouldn't be much of a cost difference if you buy it yourself or through us. But for some things like Amazon, you may save money doing it that way. So that I think is around 58. The Pebble, I think it would depend on if it's an older Pebble or if it's a newer Pebble. I think all of the
There are a few
handheld ones. Go ahead.
For the Pebble and the Ruby, which is a comparable one from Freedom Scientific, they're around $400 depending on which model you get. The older models you might be able to find used for a little bit less online with like eBay and that kind of stuff. But a brand new Pebble or Ruby is generally $400 roughly dollars.
Yeah.
One of the things you can do as well, and maybe I don't know if you have your phone with you, Julia, but you can also, there's a magnifier app that are on iPhones and Android phones. The image isn't quite as stable as the Ruby or the Pebble, but you can use an iPad or an iPhone as a digital video magnifier, actually using the camera that's on the phone.
Yeah.
And the magnifier app does have the contrast settings of like inverting the colors and so forth that the Pebble and the Ruby can do. The image just is not as stable. And so that's where maybe having a stand to clamp your phone or iPad into to use it as a digital magnifier would help it to be a little bit more stable.
Okay. And the talking books from the library, those are free.
Totally free.
Yeah.
Totally
Okay.
free, yeah.
Thank you.
I would not invest in development of some of these new handheld devices because the current technology of smartphones, I think, is going to put all these people out of business. There's just, an example, while I was listening today, I'm preparing to cook a large batch of my favorite beef stew. I have the recipe written down as a handwritten, somebody wrote it out. Brought it up on a computer screen, used Seeing AI in document mode, click, save it back as text to voice stream reader. And it's just, it blows
Amazing
my mind.
stuff.
I mean, I have this handwritten thing that a few years ago would have had to probably use a Pebble or something like that, or a CCTV. And now it's on my phone. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
So that's where I think, Julia was, when she was mentioning how you can do the note taking on your phone and all that kind of stuff. There is so much that can be done with that. And it's just a matter of learning it. It takes time to learn it. And the more you play with it, the more you're going to learn it.
yeah, I agree. Oh, trust me, I'm a slow learner at times.
Can I ask, what is the voice stream reader?
Voice Dream Reader is an app that you can buy for your iPhone. I don't recall if it's available on Android platform, but it's an app that allows you to import text files, and then it can adapt them to be whatever size you need them to be and whatever contrast you need them to be. There's a whole suite of Voice Dream apps. There's a Voice Dream Writer, a Voice Dream Reader, and a Voice Dream Scanner. And you can create notes, you can import books and notes, and have them read to you with a digital voice, or you can visually read them with the contrast and the size font that you set it to. And you can also scan and take a picture of something and pull the text out of it to be able to read it.
Wow,
And
that's great.
they
That's
oh yeah,
great.
they're great. I want to say they're like $15 an app now. They used to be much cheaper. They were like $5 an app, but I think they're all about $15 a piece now because they realized what they had.
Yeah, Dan, it's Joe. I did a little research on VoiceStream. I thought it was a company. It's not. It's one or two guys in Arlington, Massachusetts,
Oh, wow.
Oh,
that
interesting.
have
Wow.
developed this. He was a researcher at MIT, and yeah, he's sitting on somebody's going to buy that from him some point for a lot of money.
Exactly.
Also, I might just mention to the woman who asked about the talking book player. It's absolutely fantastic. I've used it
Yes.
for years, and if you don't have it, you really need to get it. It's great.
There's actually one hidden feature on the talking book player as well. And Julia, maybe you could hold it up and show the side of it. There is a USB thumb drive that you can plug into the side of your National Library Service players. And if you were to record digital voice recordings in an MP3 format, you could actually play them on a thumb drive on your NLS player. And so if you did have a to-do list or something along those lines, that's another way you could record a to-do list. And when you want to remember what it is, you plug it into your player and you could listen to it. Or maybe there's some instructions that you need to remember how to do something a certain way. You could put those files onto a thumb drive and plug them in the side of your player, and that would work actually as a note-taking player.
Hey, Dan, just one other thing for VoiceStream products. They as yet are not ready for prime time in the Mac operating system, but he's working on it. And I have little doubt at some point there'll be an announcement that suite of apps is now also, they've got a suite that'll work on a Mac.
Look forward to seeing that.
Yeah, I don't know how far out he is from that, but I know they're working on it.
Well, I guess I could also mention, just in terms of Braille, I could have mentioned the slate and stylus. As many people may know, the slate and stylus is portable. So if you have to take a quick note, if you're out in public, and you're familiar with using it, that can also be a great tool for note taking.
No batteries required either.
Yeah. Yep, and a Brailler. A Brailler is again another Braille note-taking device, as well as electronic Braille devices, Braille displays, things like that. Braille notes, note takers.
For those of you who are interested in Braille, that the device that Jerry showed earlier at 11 o'clock, that one is really good for interfacing with your phone or your iPad or tablet or things like that to do Braille input. So you could be writing in Braille and it would read it back to you in Braille. You'd be able to see the image in Braille on the display. It of itself doesn't have any storage, but there are other devices on the market that have internal storage where you can do note taking on your Braille, electronic Braille display, and it will remember things itself. without having a phone or a tablet around as well. So that's the difference between a display and a note taker, is the note taker has a lot more memory. Well, thank you, Julia, for your time and for the presentation.